Hello, spiritual beings. I have some spiritual affirmation cards. So the first one I did yesterday was all of my no. I am strong, I am enough, I am worthy. I am strong, I am worthy, I am enough. That's how I feel. That's how it went. So this one is all of my desires in life are valid, and I need to use this as well because practice make perfect, and spiritual hygiene is necessary. Like, I don't feel good without smudging. I don't feel good without anointing oil. I don't feel good without spraying, different things to keep my spirit calm. Because I noticed that I've been a little feisty, and I know also too that comes from just perimenopause makes me so moody. I've been very moody. Um, since I want to say about 3 years ago, with my perimenopause and then my journey. I don't, you know, well, anyway, we're not going to talk about that because, it's my word, and then people are going to try to dissect it and pick it apart, regardless what you say, right? So it doesn't matter. Anyway, then I got some mystic oracle cards. So there's like little messages. So I shuffled it before I got on camera, and I was like, the power of calm. So it really kind of told me about myself because I've been trying to master this, and I noticed that when I did make myself a skeptical, when I had that little situation with, yeah. Anyway, I moved past it. I said what I said, and I made my videos, and I know whatever. So whoever thinks whatever, I really don't care. But I noticed that this was my energy since I don't really have a big following or what have you, and I don't know who watches it or who comes or what have you. But so that's not my concern. But I did pull it, and it said the power of calm. So peace isn't found by avoiding the storm, but by standing in the middle of it with unwavering faith in your strength. So this was big for me because I am trying to find a lot of ways to alchemize and change my energy without cursing. So that's like a big thing for me. I'm really trying to, so much rage, and it's like, especially the situation I'm going through right now with when I said that the man was laughing and making a spectacle, and knowing darn well that him and his, he would never, I know he would never want to live here or have his family members live here. So is this a simple fact of the disrespect that's got me? And then, with my baby girl, my youngest, with her situation and her decisions, and I believe she's still in prison, because they hadn't called me. They just told me that they picked her up in Maricopa County, so it's in Arizona. But yeah, so the gentleman was caught sex trafficking and stuff like that. So he got a count. I don't know how many counts, but anyhow, dealing with that is a lot. And then just trying to encourage my middle child. She's moving back home, so that's, she tried on her own, and I love that because she really tried to do her own thing, and she did it for a year. So I want to give her an applause. I know she probably gonna be like, "Ma," but I just wanted to say that because I'm really proud of my daughters. They're doing very well. It's just my youngest, my baby, because I don't know if anybody remembers. Her father was murdered, and so I'm dealing with a lot with her. Identity crisis and behavioral problems. She's good academically, so that's that. I just keep praying for her. Because I had took accountability. I know I made my mistakes, but I just know that you can't keep on letting people disrespect. And even though it's my child, this feel like she had crossed boundaries. She crossed the line, and it was just like the verbal abuse was like I couldn't take it anymore. And she's, she's young, and I'm just like, yo, I couldn't do it to my mom. You're not gonna do it to me. You know what I mean? And then even though my mom took drastic measures, I still am happy, of my childhood because it shaped me to who I am today, and I feel like I'm very strong in that aspect. But I just wanted, to do that today, and then I really wanted to tune in because that's really my main concern is like I love spirituality. It's been in my life since I was a child, and also I'm not a religious person, so I don't want anybody to get it misconstrued. Not trying to be a prophet. I'm not trying to be a pastor. None of that. It's just that I do feel the light. I do practice praying. I do talk to God, the Most High, whether, people say it's a father and all this stuff. I just think there's a spiritual being. I feel like there's something that is helping to navigate. I just know that there's something there. Even if it's my ancestors, and there's people that's atheists, they don't want to believe or what have you. But in any instance that people are confused, because I just feel like some people probably feel like, maybe she's a narcissist, or maybe she's this, she's that, or whatever. However you feel, I don't care. I would never be a narcissist. This is why I'm not in a relationship with no man, because I don't have time for the foolishness. So I'm not saying every man is a narcissist. I just don't got time for the mind control, the mind games. I don't got time. And from I said, the last situation I had was just ridiculous. It should never happen. I should have never fell off the bandwagon because it wasn't worth it. And it was like, I remember one time, I always tell you a joke. We went out to eat, and I know everybody know Cane's by now, Raising Cane's. And this guy bought a Caniac box and said I had to share. Mind you, I have my own money to buy my own food, and he said no. But the control was the fact that he wanted me to eat a little portion. He said, we gonna share. You ain't eating that all by yourself. First of all, don't talk to me like that. Don't do it. Don't tell me to share no food and I gotta split it with you when I have my own bread. That's the whole thing that had got me like turned off. The gentleman feels like, oh, he didn't do anything wrong. And there's tons of things that was red flags. You know what I mean? One time his mom knocked the door and was like, oh, you want something to drink? He can't get his own drink. He a grown man. Then his mother was doing his laundry. Yo, I just was like, what? Am I in the land of make-believe? I just couldn't understand what was happening. And then it's a lot, you know what I mean? But he was like, oh, you're an actor and all this kind of stuff. Listen, I don't have time for nobody picking me apart, analyzing me and all of that, you know what I'm saying? I live with light. I might have an attitude. I might be a smart ass. I get sarcastic every now and again. But what is that to you? It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? So I just feel like sometimes people try to deal with telling people how they should be. And, I feel like if you're going to transform, all I do is just say that this was my way of life. I don't know if it would help anybody, but I do feel that lots of my stories that come from the heart and the strength of me being myself, my authentic self, my unique self. I just feel like it will help someone because I didn't falter. Excuse me. I went through a lot with my daughters, and like I said from before, I've been, domestic violence, molested, raped. Raped, because I know you're not supposed to say that word. Sorry. Essayed, raped, molested, and domestic violence. Fractured jaw, teeth knocked out my mouth. I have impaired vision on my left eye. There's like something happened to the orbital muscle. So like there's times where I can just, if I look, my peripheral is a little bit damaged because there would be like a cloud. So sometimes I'll have a blind spot. So I can't even really, drive. I don't tell much people that, and I've had a lot of car accidents. I've had a lot of near death experiences. So I know God, put something in me. The spirit, I can sleep sometimes without thinking about doing this. There was times where I would try to tune it out, like nobody cares, everybody's doing this. What do you have to offer? And I was stagnant for a long time. Very stagnant, very indecisive, worrying about people seeing me, judging me. And I have been like that from age 13 to age 28. Always wanting friends or have friends. I have another example where I had a friend that would always keep calling me the B word, and I was going through a lot, and I had to pick up, like I was the older sibling on my mom's side, so I had a lot of responsibilities, and I'm not gonna say that I was wrong or right. I'm not sure, but I had to take care of my brothers and sisters while my mom went to work. It was my responsibility to make sure they was good as far as getting picked up from school and cooking and making sure that they were good, right? And I didn't really, I wasn't motivated for school and stuff, so I used to I would, not probably, I would cut school. So I cut school a lot of times,